Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in live to today's webinar. It is going to be discussing all of the steps for our 60-day countdown to starting an aesthetic laser business. So this is going to cover a variety of treatments that you might be offering or technology you may be looking into using, and all of those steps that it takes to get that business off the ground. Today is May 8th. Thank you for joining live. If you're tuning in live, if you're watching on demand, thanks for watching as well. And today's webinar is hosted by myself. I'm Hannah Barling. I'm the brand marketing manager here at Astanza. And today with me is Opal Tascala.
Hello, I'm Opal. I've been with Astanza I'm just going to give myself this shout right now. May marks my anniversary month. I've been with Astanza for 11 years this month.
11.
I know, like, good for me. But I like talking about lasers. So thanks for bringing me on for this one, Hannah.
Yeah, absolutely. And if this is your first time hearing about Astanza, if you're not very familiar with us yet, hopefully you'll become more familiar by the end of today. But we do have a variety of aesthetic laser technology, tattoo removal training, hair removal training, lots of stuff that we offer at Astanza Laser. So I hope you enjoyed today's webinar. The 6 kind of key elements that we'll be discussing are essentially the steps in which you need to take at these countdown day options leading to your grand opening. So I know we're talking about 60, but we've got a few steps if you're, even further out of your planning, or you're just at the beginning phases. So we'll go from 90 to 60 to 45, 30, 15, 1 week out, and then talk about what you can do with your business once you are open. So, as I mentioned, if you're looking at getting started, you're several months down the line. I know 90 days may seem like a lot, but that's really only 3 months, and that can go by really fast. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it was just New Year's and now it's May. So the key steps that you can be looking at doing during this 90-day period. First, of course, is selecting the technology that's right for your business. Now, we are Astanza Laser. We're going to be talking about Astanza Laser technology, but in general, if you're researching the landscape, one of the very first steps, of course, is selecting the laser that is right for you at the time. Then you'll want to think about choosing your business name and setting up your legal structure. Now, we have legal structure here because there is sort of a variety of ways that people set up these businesses. Astanza works with entrepreneurs, existing physicians, med spas, tattoo artists, lots of different people from different experience levels. And there are lots of options and ways that you can set up that legal structure. Another step to this in this process is beginning your financing funding process. So looking at your options, getting together some of your funds, maybe moving around some things in your accounts, just starting that financial preparation to get ready to get your business underway. Also,
apply as soon as you can. Like, I know,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in here.
No, please.
Been through it. Like, I always just say, like, don't put the cart before the horse. So some people want to go buy an iPad, or like look at a point of sale system, or like get their website going. And all of that is good and wonderful and fun, but like, you need to. I played basketball growing up, and my high school coach always said the most important thing in basketball is the basket. So I'm going to stick with that with the laser business. The number one most important thing is that laser. If you don't have a laser, you can't have a laser business. So you got to figure out how you can acquire a laser. And that's really where the funding piece comes in. Most people aren't cash buyers. If you are, good for you. You've just eliminated a massive hurdle. But if you are financing, it can be easy too, but you should start that process early. And it, like, 90 days out, it be one of the first things that you really look into.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for adding that, because we're talking about several different types of laser technology. There's levels to this. So, maybe you're looking at a medium device, you want top of the line device. So understanding that, choosing that, and starting your funding for that ASAP is absolutely crucial to getting started off the right way. And then the marketer in me has to say, as soon as you can, as soon as you've got your business name, start working on your website planning and build out. If that is something that you have in your skill set, amazing. Again, another hurdle you've already jumped over, but it does take a handful of weeks to get those actually built, and that's just kind of that framework, that back end work to get your website going. And the sooner your website's out there, the sooner people can find out about you. Even if you may have not opened your doors yet, you can have a coming soon type banner on there. So getting that started quickly and early is a very great key to getting your promotions out. And
Hannah,
then another, yeah.
on the website, like ballpark for like a solid first time business owner or, experienced business owner, but like opening up this laser business, like how long does it take on average to have a good website built out?
I would say a minimum of 4 weeks, but depending on the depth of what you're wanting on the site, you're going to be offering multiple services and you're going to have like more pages than, just a few on the main menu about us contact kind of stuff. You'd want to give yourself like, 3+ months if there's going to be a lot more dev work, if you're going to have just a lot more content on that site. But I would say average, just like medium level, you're offering 1 to 2 services. 4 weeks is pretty solid. And then as soon as you can, if you're looking and thinking about your office space, you probably selected your technology, hopefully at this point, and then you know about how large or small that device is going to be. So then you can start deciding how much of space you're going to physically need to operate these services. And Opal, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say if you just have one laser in one room, I mean, that could be as small as like 500 square feet.
Yeah, I mean, we've even seen people do it in like 200 square feet, like a
Yeah.
probably even less than that. Like an oddly shaped 20-ish by 20-ish is like
Hmm.
more than enough to have your patient bed, your like little cool stool, your your laser, your storage for your med supplies, and then even like a little seating area off to the side, so where you can
Yep,
have consultations and stuff. So yeah, very, very
for sure.
limited space is needed for a solo entrepreneur laser business setup.
Awesome. So
Yes.
now we're at 60 days, 60-day countdown.
So
And Opal, let us know what's at
yeah.
60.
No, definitely. And the nice part about this kind of part of the timeline is that all three of these things sort of need to be in sync with one another. So it works perfectly. So Hannah was just talking about a business location. Definitely need to get that. Kind of like your laser. It'd be in a perfect world, you could just be like, oh, I want that one. And you get it and you move in and it's beautiful and sparkly just the way that you want it to be. It's not always the case. So I would advise going out, trying to seek your location, whatever it is, a salon suite or something that you're looking to lease in a strip mall or a medical type of building, whatever works for you. But have kind of your first choice, have your second choice, shoot for that first one. If you get it, great, love it. Hope the timing works out. Everything will be fine. If not, you've got backup options. And that way you're setting yourself up to be able to work within this timeline that you want, which is at this point, assuming you're clocking into this webinar, you're shooting for 60 days. Um, so you want it to fit find your space and it fit that timeline that you're looking for. So just make sure you've got some options and can be a little bit flexible on what you're looking for, because just because a space is advertised that it's available doesn't mean you can, one, get your lease signed and ready to go right away, and that you can, two, move in right away, and that when you move in, it's already ready for your business. You may want to do a few improvements to the space so it fits your business. So that's the business location piece. Number two would be that funding. So great, you're financing the device, you got an approval, yay. Talk to your lender and ask them what it looks like from the time that you say go, I want to move forward with this, to the time that it takes them to then fund your laser. So you communicate to the lender communicates to the laser company, whatever laser you're buying, how long does that take? For some people, it's 24 hours, super fast. Like you say go right now, noon on a Wednesday, and by Thursday at noon, you've bought yourself a laser. That's an easy, we like those. That's an easy one. Sometimes it can take weeks. So just make sure that you're on the same page, and you signing on the dotted line for your laser lease or financing doesn't prolong your process right at the end when you're ready to go. And then number three, what's the laser turnaround time? This varies depending on what you're buying, inventory, frankly, the schedule of the engineers. We're coming off of 4 years ago, my goodness, the pandemic. And as we know, turnaround time for things extended out for some people 9, 10, 11 months. We are not in that space anymore. I say this, Astanza is not in that space anymore. Whatever business you're looking at, yeah, woo, whatever business you're looking at, make sure that the device that you want, you are very aware of how long it will take from the time that you finish the purchase to the time that it is in your space. Ballpark is about 30 days for Astanza. done a little less, we've done a little more depending on the time of year, but really make sure you understand that. So as you can see, your space, your financing, and your laser delivery and installation, all that is all working together and lining up perfectly for when you're actually ready to get open, which we'll talk about here in just a sec.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that piece that Opal said about having a few options like your first, second, third choice is really big too, because that way you can ensure that you sign that lease aligned with your paperwork and you end up not having either a space early enough or maybe end up not having a space for too long before you're actually going to get your device and start seeing people. So it's really important to be looking at all of those pieces at the same time.
Nobody wants to spend more money on their space rent before they have their laser and can start their business. It just kind of adds to your like initial outlay. So like in a perfect world and with a great rep, I know my whole team is so good at this, just saying, hey, like, what are your dates? What do your dates look like? And they'll kind of act as the planner for you on when you
Yep.
should do certain things throughout the process. So you're not spending more money up front that you really don't need to.
Hmm. Exactly. And whether you work with us or whoever you work with, you should absolutely have someone that is really working with you and tailoring to what that process looks like for you, because we know that it's different for everybody. All right, we're at 45 days. So I'm going to take this one away here for a bit because a lot of it has to do with marketing. And I like to remind people, if you're not telling folks what services you provide, nobody is going to know what services you provide. So your marketing strategy, your communication strategy, all of those things wrapped in together is essentially how you are telling people about your business and where you're telling people about your business. So I touched on this a little bit earlier on the website, but as soon as you have your business name, you can then purchase your domain. So that is, your www.estanzalaser.com. So that estanzalaser.com is a domain. We own that domain, so no one else can have that and can never create a website with that domain. And so as soon as you have your business name selected, you can go ahead and decide on your domain name. If it's something that's a bit shorter, only about 2 words or so, that can easily just be your .com. That's what a lot of folks do. You could also consider going a little bit more of a, tattoo removal location.com or, hair removal location.com. Not going to get too into the weeds there, but when you have that name decided on, you want to purchase that domain ASAP. And then, as we mentioned, it can take, about 4 weeks or so to really get a solid framework built for the back end of your website. And that is just that build out of the site itself. Then you're going to want to spend time for the content that you're putting on there. How are you going to craft your mission statement and tell people about your services and what you aim to do through offering said services, and make sure that your contact info is ready. So that's when your business location, hopefully you've already got your address now, you can have that on there, your contact info, because you want to start acquiring interested people as soon as possible. You don't even have to be open to start acquiring folks. Like I said, you could have something saying coming soon, already booking consultations. You could have that lined up so that you are ready as soon as your doors are open and people are already a little bit familiar in your area with your business. The second piece of this that is super important is creating your Google My Business profile and then any other related directory listings. If you're in more of the medical spa space, you might want to think about Real Self. That's a really popular review type listing platform, things of that nature. But especially for your Google My Business profile, that's where it like shows up on a pullout kind of when you're Googling on a desktop and it has the maps. They can click to your website, they can click to call. It's really important to have that. Of course, Google themselves promotes that in their own algorithm, and it just makes it really user friendly. And so having that created as soon as possible to getting that kind of juice in the algorithm, if you will, even if your doors aren't open yet, is going to be really helpful. And then the third step here, after you've gotten your website live or it's in the process of being created, you get those directory listings created. Go ahead and make a social media page or two. I know Instagram's kind of popped in here as the highlighted app on this picture, but that is, of course, a very aesthetic visual platform. You are looking in the aesthetics industry to offer services and open a business. So We have lots of our clients who are very active on Instagram, but of course, other pages like Facebook, TikTok, things of that nature. The one key piece here, I'm not going to get into strategy, but I will say less is more, and consistency matters more than quantity. So you're running a business. A lot of you guys are entrepreneurs. You are probably a solopreneur doing the laser yourself, running the books, all of that good stuff. You don't have time to try to learn marketing stuff or strategies that maybe you've never even considered, or more of that nitty gritty kind of digital side of things. That's what choosing one platform to focus on, most familiar one that you are with. If you're an Instagram familiar already, then I would start with that one. Facebook, kind of same thing. But one thing I would love to add here is if you do choose to work with Astanza, we do have a very robust and customizable marketing partnership program. And specifically within that, we have something called our Business Builder. We'll get into more of that later. But whatever company you choose, when you're getting the research and planning steps created for your business, you want to ensure that you have that support because you're a solopreneur and you cannot do all the things. You can do some of them or you can do a lot of them really well, but it's very hard to do all of the steps very well. So choosing a company like Astanza who has support, who can do a lot of that marketing strategy planning for you, outline a plan for you, and even set up some of these things is going to be really helpful. So you can focus on getting your laser, getting trained, and getting ready to open doors.
And this stuff is so much like a you reap what you sow, because like Hannah's talking about planting all these seeds, like get the website, get your Google My Business, put your social media together. I was speaking last week with a client of ours who said that 90% of her business comes from social media.
I believe
So
it.
some people look at these things and they're like, oh, but marketing is so expensive, or like, oh, I don't know how to do it. You know what isn't expensive? Social media. And do you want to know what we're really good at and our clients are really good at? Social media. So
Yep.
we can see so many guides, not to mention like Hannah saying, like literally having contacts for who can help you and guide you through this. But like I I can send you like a list of 5 of our clients who are just smashing it on socials
Yep.
and say, hey, like do what they're doing. Like odds are you're in a different area. And frankly, most of the time they're like, oh, I'm the queen of this domain. So like you're welcome to come in and, and do
Yes.
like I know who what clients I have, but yeah, it's this part is so important, and it you don't have to be, well, Hannah, correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't have to be insanely technically savvy or like a social media influencer to be impactful on
Yep.
Instagram or the like.
Exactly. People, when you're thinking of just kind of how you're setting up the way that you speak about your brand and your company, people connect with people and they remember good conversations and good interactions. And so if you're just focusing on sharing information about your services, maybe explaining how it works, if you're doing something like tattoo removal, a lot of people don't understand how that works, and just responding, connecting with people. It's people want easy, especially the clients that you would be seeing. They want to be able to interact with you on DMs. They want to be able to swipe up on something and say, "This is awesome. I'd love to have a consultation." So it's really just talking to people at the end
Yeah,
of the day
like
in whatever tone is natural for you and your business.
yeah, like just show up. Like if they write you, write them back. Like
Yeah,
very simple.
absolutely.
So that 45 minutes flew by. Sorry, 45 days flew by. We were talking about it at the beginning, and it did. It flew by.
Yes. We're
Yeah.
at 30 now, so we're 1 month out. 1 month
This,
out.
yeah, this is where it gets very real. So real. Um, so, okay, we're going to talk about insurance, actually signing an agreement to buy a device, actually putting some money forward toward the laser that is going to be for your laser business. So very real. Kind of adding on or doing the next level of the marketing and advertising that Hannah was just talking about, spending some money on ads and then moving into your space and making it your own. That immersion feels really good for people. So, I'll start back from the top. Looking at laser insurance, is there are companies out there in the like here in the US that specifically have insurance for these pieces of laser technology, because lenders, whoever's financing the device, will require it. Reason being, typically, the laser is the collateral, so they need you to protect it from fire, flood, all of those things that you're like, it's not gonna happen. but like no joke, Astanza has had 2 clients in the last year and a half-ish that have had a fire. One has had a fire and one has had a flood of sorts, where this
Hurricane-ish.
insurance was needed because of that just like that kind of damage that naturally happens. So if in that case, if you're financing the device, you know, you have to pay the lender for that device or they have to be covered. You don't want to pay that out of your own pocket. So having this insurance is extremely important. I would recommend anyone paying cash or financing to have this type of insurance because it's a huge loss if you lose it. You don't want to have to buy it again. You're already buying nice, not twice. So you don't want to have to buy twice because of your own choice. But yeah, it's in finding insurance, you can do it on the internet, very, very easy. There's plenty of lenders. In fact, more people are popping into the space of insuring laser technology for med spas and aesthetics clinics. If you've got questions about that, the folks at Astanza, we've worked with a number of them, so can happily send you that direction. Purchase agreements. This is pretty standard across the industry. When you actually sign a purchase agreement and send any money required for financing or send in your cash, that means you have made your laser purchase. And this is where it gets super real because then if you're buying from Astanza, it'll be like drinking out of a water hose for a week because we're gonna be all over you with our service team trying to plan installation, making sure that you've got the appropriate things set up in your space, like the appropriate outlet. Hannah reminded me of this yesterday. She's like, you need to remind them of this outlet.
Certain lasers need certain voltage.
Yeah, exactly. So, and those are all things that we're going to tell you about and make sure that you've got all the boxes checked to eliminate surprises down the road. Providing a down payment. Typically for financing, there's some amount of upfront cash that's needed as well. Think about that at this point. How long do you need to shore that up? Do you have to sell a couple stocks? Do you have to move it from a savings to a checking? Like, what do you need to do to get that down payment cash moved where it needs to be? And then how long will it actually take to send it as well? So be thinking about that during this time so that you can fit the timeline we talked about a few slides back, which was how long does it take you to actually get your laser? So buy the thing so you can get it in your state.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, I mean, frankly, if you're like a line by line purchase agreement reader, like you get a legal document and you actually read it versus the, 2-second scroll to the bottom and click, like some of us, you may want to like take an extra day or two to like read through your purchase agreement. Make sure you agree with the terms and all of that kind of stuff, because not everybody puts in their purchase agreements every single detail, and it may open up some questions for you. So give yourself some time. Paid advertising, kind of want to yield this one to you, HB.
I got you. So earlier when I was talking about getting your website up as soon as possible, if you are creating a brand new website, you've never existed on the internet before, it can take Google, a couple weeks, a few months, sometimes, even closer to 6 months to really crawl and then categorize, if you will, the content that you have on your website. Now, the more in line with a great strategy for the content marketing that you'd be working with your web developer and the company on, it would be faster than the 6 months, of course, but you want to show up on that page one as soon as possible. So that's where paid advertising can come into play, especially on Google specifically, Google AdWords, PPC, if you've heard those terms, they're all interchangeable. It's pay per click. It's when you bid on certain things and you just want to make sure you show up on the first page of Google. So doing that initially at the beginning is very helpful to get that early traffic to your website, to get that interest from the beginning as Google is understanding more about your business and kind of organically or the unpaid way going to show your website sooner, crawling up those pages to page one. And just some things to consider there is if that's, again, not something you're familiar with, make sure you've got someone in your tool belt that is familiar with that, that's going to help you set that up, because it can be super helpful and you don't have to do it forever, especially, like I said, if you've got your content wrapped with a bow on it and just really clear. Google understands that you're a business owner in Dallas, Texas that provides laser tattoo removal. Like, they're going to know what to show your website on when people are searching for those kinds of things on the internet. And so even like a, $1,000 a month, $500 a month, just for the first few months, and then your organic is going to kind of start to show up better. you can start to lower that budget, and maybe you'll run them both, run some for a while, and you could even start lowering that. You may not even need to run them after a while. So it really depends on your area. Obviously, a bigger metro like LA is going to be harder and more competition than a smaller town, but lots of things to consider there. Just beat the algorithm by running some Google ads at the beginning.
And let us help with your keywords. Like
Yes, please.
I have seen back in the day when I was in marketing, I remember going into a client account, they're like, oh, we set it up ourselves, we're good. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll do it for free. So like, let me help. Let me just take a look. And there was one keyword, it was tattoo removal. And it was like for America, but the client was, not servicing the entirety of America. So, help them hone that in. Costs went down, the efficiency essentially of the whole campaign went significantly up. So we can help, especially if you feel like you're maybe not super tech savvy.
Yes.
We're here for it. Awesome. The next part. So I love, as you were talking, I was looking at this handpiece being yellow, and I feel like that's so appropriate because I feel like this slide is really all about just getting those little ducklings in a row.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Absolutely.
It is what it is. But the office space, at this point, you should be moving into your office space, getting it ready for your future clients. This is everything from hanging up posters on the wall, organizing that treatment room, realizing, oh, like maybe I should put a rug here.
Right.
Actually, my engineers might not like me to say that. Don't put it in the treatment room, maybe. But just all of the little details that are like what you're actually going to put out to the public when they eventually come in and, pay you money for your laser services. It's all about this. I say this, the team at Astanza is happy to be a sounding board when it comes to setting up that space, and getting those details ready for clients. Like we help people do it every day, all the time. And so if you're curious, like, oh, I don't know, do I paint the room blue or green? Like shoot us a text of your color samples and we'll give you our full opinion and tell you the why behind it.
Yep.
So you utilize us here. If you have questions or in doubt about certain things, we can absolutely help. You'll get a lot of information. Well, one, we've got some great ebooks and webinars in the past, specifically about office space and best practices for that. So you may have a rep that sends that over to you, or you can look on our website and find those further guides on how to best set up your office space.
For sure. And just, taking into account, we've been in lots of different kinds of spaces working with our clients all over the country. And so thinking about your demographic you'll be serving, if it's, a more specific audience, or maybe it's a broader audience. We know lots of different ways that people set up their rooms of what makes sense for the type of laser business that you're wanting to run as well. And, maybe especially if you're on the nonprofit side, there might be a couple extra things to consider with the clientele you're serving, or just some of those other pieces that you may not even quite be having because you're, signing documents and making sure you have all the other pieces in a row. So we've got definite tips for you. 15 days, or just a little over 2 weeks out till you are open. So more ducks, but getting excited about a client. So here's a photo of you could be in the future treating a laser tattoo removal client in your office. But what you'll want to do is think about just those couple other pieces. And the key element here on this first step is that, again, Astanza, if you work with us, or any company that's going to have the support you need, should be providing you this, but a onboarding packet. So it's going to have all of that information, even some of your service manuals and training things to get you ready for when we show up with the laser and to train you on that laser. And then any other specifics as far as what treatments you'll be offering. And then if there's, a few aftercare supplies needed. I'd love to mention that all of our lasers are very little consumables needed. There's not much you need besides, you wear gloves, have some alcohol swabs. You may, touch removal, you'll want to cover that up with some kind of bandaging, but it's very minimal. And it doesn't take up a lot of space. So just thinking of how much you'll need, and then if you're going to need a little organizer or something to put in your office space to carry that, is what you want to consider here. And then on the second step is organizing some volunteer patients and getting that part of your training ready to go. So when our engineers come and install your laser, there is a 2-day training process. You'll go through all the didactics of the services that you'll be offering, as well as some science and just better understanding of the technology that you'll be using. And you're going to be, of course, needing some model patients to be working on during that training. And so finding a handful of those people, starting to reach out, is going to be really helpful. The sooner you get that lined up, the better. And what I also like to add here is that these are also most likely people who would come back to you. So, if you are going to do something like laser tattoo removal, that's pictured here, it's not a one and done procedure. Even if you're just fading a little bit for a cover up, you still might want that 2 to 3 session. And so if you have them come in, they learn about you and your business, they get that first session for free as a model volunteer patient, then you're making relationships already, again, before your office is ever really open. And then the third element here is utilizing your social media and the Astanza experience, which we'll get into a little more specifically near the end of the webinar here, to prep for your grand opening. So you've got your space ready, you have your setup, you maybe put some sneak preview, you've got a logo, maybe put a cute little neon sign on the wall, stuff like that, some nice teasers, and just start promoting, start sharing, get the word out there. You do not have to wait till your business is physically open and servicing people to start promoting all of what you've got. 7 days.
Oh,
1 week out.
Yeah, so soon. Okay. At this point, you're gonna have your lasers delivered, which is super fun. You're gonna probably have a little bit of a panic just to make sure that, like, oh my gosh, I'm ready. Like, am I ready? I don't know. You're gonna guess yourself, get cold feet. I think this is where the cold feet happen. And then it's kind of, I say this, it feels like a tough place to be in, but it's all, they say downhill, but the good downhill. You're
Smooth sailing.
yeah, smooth sailing. There we go. We'll go with that. So preparing for the delivery of your lasers, as I mentioned earlier, the company that you're buying from should be very communicative about this process. When things are going to be delivered, how they're going to be delivered. One thing that is never a good thing is that a delivery person shows up and they can't access you, or they have to come back the next day for one reason or another. Maybe they didn't realize there were stairs, or the loading dock or unloading dock was taken, or whatever the setup for your situation might be. There are so many details involved in that, but the people shipping you your laser, the laser company, should be able to ask you all of the right questions to prepare for that. So there are no unexpected, turnarounds or anything like that by the person delivering the truck or delivering the stuff, because they're typically delivered in a big truck, because lasers are big. They're not little babies, and so they need freight. They need a very specific. Often they need 2 people to do the delivery itself. So that's all things that need to be coordinated, but you should have someone guiding you through that process. You're not expected to be the person coordinating all of that. The laser company.
Yes.
We've had lasers delivered like on a sidewalk before, because of just someone not preparing and telling us all the right information. This was early days, long time ago.
Yeah,
So,
no worries.
obviously that's like not a good thing. And so yeah, we will cover all of the bases so that your new laser baby is protected as much as possible. Part of that preparing for delivery is also making sure everything in your space is ready for your laser to be parked in your treatment room. And so that's double checking everything that you need for that installation, that wall outlet. Make sure that thing is in and ready to go. In fact, companies like Astanza may not even say, pick up this laser and deliver it until you confirm that the outlet is in. So we just, again, want to make sure there are no unexpected surprises down the road, and it's an easy process for you. But something you need for installation may be water. Distilled water is required in the majority of the laser systems that we have. So you'll have from your laser company a checklist, a really well put together checklist of things that you need. Make sure you have all those. It doesn't take you more than a minute to go just double check the list versus what you've already done and what you need to do to make sure that installation day, arguably the most exciting day yet, goes very smoothly, and that you're not scrambling from CVS to Walgreens to try to find a gallon of distilled water. Yes, much smoother process.
Yes.
Confirming the volunteer patients that you are going to have in for training is important here. And it's kind of like the first act of how your patient process is going to be. If you have think 4 months down the road and you've got somebody who inquired with you about tattoo removal and you schedule them for an appointment, you're going to want to confirm with them about that appointment or send, a nice little reminder the day before. So this is a really good practice run for you to confirm times, confirm directions, where parking happens, what bus stop it is, any of those details that your clientele may need or want. It's a really good time to do that a week out. And further, like, let them know 2 days out too. I may be jumping ahead a little bit, but just get in the practice of what you want and to eliminate no shows, eliminate late arrivals, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And then do a soft opening with your community, your family, your friends, whatever it might be. People are happy to support other people. And if you're turning on a laser and zapping some paper or zapping some people would love to be there for that. It's super fun. Lasers are cool. And so
Yeah.
it's a good opportunity for you to have some photos taken to use on your social media for later on. And, we always recommend like swipe a few credit cards during that time. Maybe it's for a penny or whatever from your sister, but swipe the credit card, make sure your point of sale system works. Turn on the laser, check out the lights, just what you would do on a normal treatment day or what you imagine it would look like. Just practice it for an hour or two. Get people excited, get some pictures, make sure everything runs smoothly so that you don't have a, who knows, a Nespresso machine that like spews out of the top during your first day of treatment. Like that wouldn't be nice. You might as well
Not
test
ideal.
test it on your brother-in-law who you love. And then, that way your first day is your actual grand opening is exactly what you want it to be. And all the kinks have been worked out.
Yes. I love to say, like, think of it as the dress rehearsal. So even like, sometimes local plays, like they'll let their friends and family come on like the night before opening night. So it's very helpful, and all of those key pieces like the point of sale and some of those elements that you just haven't done yet because you're not quite open yet is really great to work through during the soft opening. And we made it! Grand opening. So grand openings, if you are planning that, you need to think about all of those pieces of how you would like that to go when you're incorporating your soft opening plan. So, the elements that we mentioned, you definitely want to have some type of way to capture information. So if you're having a grand opening party of sorts, I am going to go to the next slide because I can't stare at this animation for too long.
It's a little too TGIF for a Wednesday, honestly.
Yes. We're just so excited. We've been counting down from 60, and we're here on the grand opening day. And so grand opening, what I was going to just add there is make sure you have some type of way to capture information of the people that you're inviting, because these are interested people, whether they're friends of an interested party, or maybe they'll end up talking about it one day at lunch and their coworkers like, oh, I've been trying to find someone to remove this tattoo for years. Or, like you just never know the kind of web you can build by inviting some people in your space physically for that opening day. So whether it's an iPad or a sign-in sheet, just get some numbers and emails so that you can reach out to those people later to connect with them and see if they're interested in any of your services, especially if you're looking at expanding down the road too. You might start with hair removal or tattoo removal, but you may have, long-term plans of building and hiring a full team and expanding. And so the sooner you start that web and the relationship building is going to be a very integral piece in your long-term success of your business. So now that we're looking at this high demand max ROI slide, what I wanted to discuss here is that, of course, we've been talking about aesthetic laser business kind of in that whole umbrella realm. So there's lots of different services you could be providing. Tongue twister on a Wednesday. Laser tattoo removal, laser hair removal. Maybe you're a physician and you're wanting to do some skin resurfacing and some scar treatments for people, things of that nature. It's a wide range of treatments to try to give some averages there. But I would say, in terms of tattoo removal or hair removal, some of those less invasive, not quite as, you're not actually ablating the skin, doing any kind of scar treatments of that nature. Those are a little bit longer of an appointment just for the before and after care. Still quick, but a little bit longer. The average time for any of these is about 15, maybe 30 minutes from start to finish. And that's the intake. They're signing the forms, whatever your intake forms are. You're getting them prepped. You're cleaning that skin with the alcohol swipe. You're doing the treatment. You're covering them up. You're saying thank you. You're rebooking them, and they're out your door in 30 minutes, really a lot of the times closer to that 15. So when you're thinking of how you're going to plan your day, you can really fit a lot of people into one day. And that really makes your time make yourself more money. Like if you're stacking these people that you can book because you can fit so many people in 1 hour. Now, when the dollar amount comes to that, for tattoo removal, for example, a smaller tattoo, like a little wrist tattoo, maybe 50, probably closer to 75. If you're in a higher volume, higher population city, maybe 100 would be the shop minimum at some places. And that's just for one treatment. And the thing about tattoo removal that's really great if you're interested or you're still kind of deciding on services, tattoo removal and hair removal as well is not a one and done procedure, like we kind of mentioned earlier. So you're thinking of, you're going to see this patient again down the line. But if I needed about 5 or so treatments just for this little piece here, that's about $500 in one patient that you could be getting. As that can also go all the way up to, I mean, I've seen some that are maybe $300 for a larger piece. Maybe you're doing, almost like an inner forearm. That's also, Opal, would you agree? That's probably about as large of an area you'd want to treat at one time if you're doing tattoo removal, kind of just one half.
Quarter of the arm, like not all the way around. Yeah.
Yep.
And you said 300, like there are certainly some markets out there and other laser clinics that will be quoting 700, $800 for something like that too. So yeah,
that's true. There's a
conservative.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm not going to hop into the science too much, but there's different lasers for different wavelengths for colors that you're removing too. So I've got some real vibrant colors that require a little bit more advanced of a laser. So that would definitely be, higher up to that 600-700 range. But and then hair removal averages, depending if you're doing an upper lip versus legs, that is a range, but that could range anywhere from maybe similar $50 to $75 for an upper lip. But I would say, a single session on a pair of legs, Opal, what would you estimate goes from maybe 200 to
5-6, depending on where
5-6.
Yeah, depending on the location.
Yep. And so that you could make in a 30-minute appointment. So if you were doing a full pair of legs, you're going to be in a 15 to 30-minute window. And that gross revenue from that one session of that one patient is $500. So we're trying to paint the picture here that it's very easy for you to schedule people throughout the day, and that these procedures, because they have to be from, a trained certified professional, it has to be in a specific type of space. People are going to pay for that level of care. And that is just the kind of industry standards for some of those treatments that we've been talking about.
Yeah, and thinking about, I'm gonna bring my branded word language in here, even though it's not actually registered. But we talk about patient stacking all the time. That being, if you're looking at this webinar and you're like, oh, but I'm just like a solo entrepreneur. This is starting out super small. Like I'm keeping my day job, whatever it might be. Know that like with the numbers Hannah was just talking about, call it average of like $800 an hour. If you can do a $200 appointment every about 15 minutes. And thinking about averages here, the tiny things like the little diamond on her wrist to like the half sleeve or half of a half sleeve. Thinking about $200 as the average, and you're doing a 15 maybe to 20-minute appointment, even on the like conservative end, you're still looking at about $800 per hour. And if you're doing that for 2 hours on a Tuesday, 2 hours on a Thursday, a couple hours on a weekend, like add that up throughout the month, and that's almost $5,000. That's certainly going to cover your laser payment and your lease and all these other things. And that's you working, actually firing the laser for 6 hours in a month. In a month? No, in a week.
A week, yeah.
In a week. Math. But that is a lot of revenue, and very much tailored to your time and when you need to do it. And it can just go up from there. So it's a very scalable scheduling process that you can have in place for your business from the get-go.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of knowing all of these steps to setting up the business and having the support to getting that started, because a lot of people start out this as a solopreneur. It's probably a side hustle. It's something that's complementary to whatever your current income is at the time. And as soon as you start booking that out, you can, you know, hop onto the full business full time and really take charge of your schedule and what works for you and your family. I know we've had several clients telling us that, you know, maybe they were a nurse and they were doing Saturday, Sunday, a couple weekends a month at the laser clinic, and they were making more money in weekends, like 2 days a week. So 8 days a month, they were making more money than their full-time job working at the hospital as a nurse. So there's lots of ways you can scale this and in the best pattern that makes sense for yourself. And that's also the beauty of setting up an aesthetic business, whether it's hair removal or tattoo removal. It's very simple to run the machine once you're trained and certified, of course, not knocking on what you're actually doing, but once you're trained and certified, it's pretty simple to run the machine. You know your patient intake process. You've got your strategy down as far as appointment booking and reminders and all of that. It's super, super easy to scale your business and you know, go full time offering the service and even expanding and offering services down the line as well. Alrighty, I'll start this one here, Opal, and then maybe you can add on towards the end there. But a few things we've mentioned here with what you would be getting from Estanza if you choose to purchase Estanza technology and work with the lovely A team here at Estanza is our brand promise. And this is for everyone who purchases a laser from us. And we love to call it the Estanza experience, because your business is an experience for your clients, and the entire journey matters from start to, you know, finish or till retirement. And so the three main pillars of our Estanza experience program is a 3 business day service guarantee. So we have our team of biomedical engineers who do our installations and trainings, but they also will be the ones that are answering the phone and helping you diagnose any issues or questions that you may have about the device itself. So if you do call us and you say, hey, my screen's not, something, my settings doesn't look right, you know, that being said, these lasers are built to last, so you shouldn't be calling us too much. But there are certain things that can happen. It may be just a misaligned. We might even be able to diagnose that with you on a FaceTime rather than having to come out to your business. We do a lot of help. Our engineers are on FaceTime a lot with our clients. And I would say at least 50-50, they're able to diagnose the issue just over a video call.
Often fix the issue.
Yeah. It's pretty remarkable, honestly, and that's also just the way that we are available to help you. We understand that you need support. These are laser machines; they're medical grade, you know, FDA cleared machines. These are really powerful devices, and you're probably servicing a lot of folks every single day. So if you have a concern, if you report an issue, we will be there within 3 business days or less, resolving the issue for you. Because we know that if there's any downtime of your laser, that means you can't be servicing somebody that day. And we know how important that is to your business. So our 3 business day service guarantee is a huge component of the support, the level of what we offer to our clients. And then kind of in tandem with that is our lifetime training and clinical support piece here. And that means that whether it's for you, you want a refresher, or you're hiring people and you've got a new technician, or you know, somebody is going to come in and start working with you. We have a lifetime training component that is included with the purchase of your laser. So you can come to our New Look Laser College, which is our training division at Estanza, and take a course there, or we will come to you. There's lots of options. I know our director of clinical training, Crystal, she does virtual trainings with a lot of our clients as well, refresher courses, things of that nature. And then that clinical support piece is calling on our clinical department and calling on our engineers. If you have a question like, hey, I got a kind of a weird reaction that I've never really seen before for this, I did all the settings, blah, blah, blah. Could you walk me through this process? You know, things of that nature, because they're not going to be often, but you know, the few and far between, you want to be able that you have somebody to call and that person's going to answer and they're going to walk you through fixing that issue.
Yeah. One thing on that too is like, we implemented this because of the same reason that we require people to sit through our training when they buy a laser. Like, you can't just say, hey, I want to buy your laser. I don't need your training. It's all good. We're like, no, we're going to sit with you because there's a safety piece to it, but
Yep.
also efficacy. Like, we know what works. We don't want you to have the device in your business, you be firing the laser on you're paying clients, and then them inevitably coming back to you and saying, well, I don't like this or I don't like that because of poor training or lack of training. So we require that training that you're sitting in on that. And this was super important for any of life circumstances. People need refreshers, even though our
Yep.
curriculum is so good. It is ever evolving as technology changes do happen. We want to allow people to come back in 3 years at our, on us essentially to have that refresher training.
Yep. Absolutely. And then the third piece here that I would like to kind of discuss a little bit in more detail, I've touched on it a bit throughout when we're discussing marketing pieces. But at the launch of your business, at the beginning, the first few months that you're in business providing these laser services, we have a business builder system, and that is customizable to you and your company. And that could be anything from, we would potentially set up lead generation ads on social media for you to help you get interested people in your doors, that would want to book to call a consultation and learn more about your services. Maybe it's setting up some Google ads for you and actually paying for these ads that we would be running at the beginning of your business launch as well. Anything from the content that we would provide for your business. So we talked about that website build out. We do have a web dev guy. We can help you if that is something that you're interested in. But what we do provide all of our clients is the content. So, discussing the services about laser tattoo removal, about laser hair removal, things you can put on your website that are optimized for search engines. They've got those good keywords and all of that to take into account with your specific brand name and your location. All of that is something that we provide all of our clients who purchase a laser from us, because we know how important that is, and we want to make sure that it's optimized for your business and your location as well. And so taking advantage of all of these pieces, these are going to be throughout the lifetime of your business. That's, kind of the promise side of things. This is the experience that we give everybody who purchases laser from us. So if you're tuning in and you're watching on your computer, that QR code goes to that landing page. If you're watching on your phone or something like that, can't use your camera while you're watching on your screen, but that is just on our website. It's dantalaser.com/how-we-help. And you can learn more about these specific components. We have an FAQs page to just better understand what you would be getting aside the amazing laser technology that you have just chosen.
Basically, what is your laser company doing for you? The laser is what very important. Like I mentioned earlier, the most important thing in the laser business is the laser. But like also as a solo entrepreneur or something like that, like, are you getting support elsewhere? Where are you getting that support? Like, let your laser company help you. You probably just dropped a pretty decent penny on a device. You invested in that. Like, don't just invest in the device, invest a little bit in the support that you're going to get in the future too. And once you're open, after that grand opening, that splashy grand opening we just had, like, use them. Use them before you open, use them after. Ask.
Yes, ask. We are here to help, and we've helped lots of different people run really successful businesses for many years. So if you're curious, if you're researching companies, technology, we could get into the details of the science and how advanced our laser technology very much is. But today, of course, we're talking about business. And so whatever questions you have about these elements that we've discussed, please reach out to us, let us know. We obviously are very much determined for success with you. And so we're here to guide you throughout all of these pieces. Now, that being said, if you are still tuning in with us at this point in the webinar, we would love to do a live Q&A for a few minutes. I know we're bumping up a little bit close to time, around that 1 o'clock stop time there, but if we've got a bunch of good ones in the hopper, we can maybe go a few minutes over. But at this time, if you would like to place any questions you may have in either the Q&A bubble or the chat box, please do so, and I will kind of man those here for the next few minutes as we wrap up today's content. All right, open this up here. Okay, I do have a question about training. So I know that we mentioned training once you purchase your device and getting trained while you're getting the laser in your space. But they're asking if there's training options pre-laser purchase. Hopefully you want to take that one.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So pre-laser purchase, yes, definitely. New Look Laser College. It is our training division. So it's something, it's a public training course. So technically anyone can go on our website, sign up for the course. There is a fee associated with coming to the course. But if you work with Astanza eventually for your laser purchase, there you have the like we'll work with you essentially on how to kind of offset that training cost. But yeah, absolutely. Come to New Look Laser College. We do 10 to 12 a year. Maybe we even had a little bit more this year, primarily at our headquarters in Dallas, Texas. Also other places throughout the country this year, Fort Lauderdale, Pittsburgh, Las Vegas. Some of those may already be passed, but there may be more second half. Yeah, come to New Look Laser College. You can either ask, if you've already been speaking with somebody at Astanza, ask your rep about it. They'll be able to tell you. Otherwise, you can find New Look Laser College information on our website or at newlooklasercollege.com.
Perfect.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you. Alrighty. Another question we've got here is, do we offer a buyback type of program or a trade up program? So maybe they start with one of the more simpler models and then eventually would like to upgrade to like a more robust model of that. I'm going to say yes, but I'll let Opal kind of answer that in a little more detail.
Yes, you're correct. No, we certainly can. So from a buyback perspective, more in the terms of it being part of a trade-in for something that is bigger and better, it kind of feels like when you're looking at a buyback, well, one, you shouldn't set yourself up for needing to jump out of the business. So I'm going to assume we're taking it the positive route and you're looking to expand or grow.
Yes, yes.
Otherwise, let's have a conversation. We need to talk about that. But yes, for upgrades, it's certainly something that we can do. We love our own technology, so we make that transition quite easy. Just to give you an example, if you are in a laser business and you start with a tattoo removal device that is Nd:YAG only, this wasn't a technical webinar, so if these are foreign terms, watch another one and we'll educate you. But
Yeah, got plenty.
Nd:YAG only. If you want full spectrum tattoo removal, you would need to also have a Ruby component. We do have a device that has both in one box. So not everyone can, frankly, right out of the gate, afford to get into that, or they want to kind of toe in a little bit, test the waters, if you will. And they'll start with a less expensive device, lower investment. But we have a program where you can, in the first 12 months, make that upgrade for no additional fee, just simply the difference in price. So we give our entrepreneur clients, that's who we work with, the ability to do that without having to be like, oh shucks, like I should have just done it right out of the gate. We make it a very smooth process moving forward.
Absolutely. Love it. Alrighty. There's a question here regarding, can Astanza help me find a medical director for my business? Yes, we can help you. Not every state, we're not going to get too into regulations here. Regulations vary by state and by procedure. So there's lots of info we could dive into there today. We don't have time for, but if you have questions, if you're starting to look at those things, reach out to us. We can help you navigate that. We do have a really great map on our website as well. It's under our resources tab on our main menu, the regulations map. You can click on your state and it has your specific state agencies and websites that have rulings that you can look through that information on as well. But as far as a medical director goes, there's levels to their involvement that's necessary in your business. But we're very, very familiar helping our clients find one of those. I know that Opal and the business development team, they work on that all the time with our clients.
Yeah. And don't be intimidated by the fact that a physician has to be involved in one way or another with the business. It's not like you're going to be paying a full physician salary. Don't be intimidated by that. We will help you. We will get you on the right page, right path as soon as you bring it up.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Alrighty, next question. Someone's asking just for a ballpark investment range for the equipment and training and kind of startup. So we can snag that one live. It does depend again on the services that you want to provide. So we have several different models of tattoo removal lasers that Opal mentioned. We also have a hair removal device. There is also, skin resurfacing, more fractionally ablative lasers. So there is a varied range, but Opal, what would you say, just kind of including all of that together, if we had to?
Yeah,
put
a
that in an
healthy
estimate.
healthy startup for, let's say, like a mid-range, not the lowest investment, not the highest investment, healthy startup for the first 2 to 3 months of business, you need to be willing to put out 25 to 30,000 bucks. And you might be like, what? I saw something on Instagram that was $300 or $3,000 that I could buy. And it's like, okay, cool. But like, these are totally different pieces of technology. We're talking about like um Olympic ping pong versus like the little one that you like set up on your desk. Like very different leagues, very different situations. This technology is going to last you a decade or more. Like, so yeah, let's wrap about that and like the pros, the cons, the legality of using certain things in the US. But
Yep.
25, 30K compared to starting most other businesses is very, very low. And we
Yep.
talked about ROI earlier and what that looks like. It's typically within a year ramp up is met and exceeded, and people are eyeballing their next system or their next location. So,
Yes. Yes. A lot of our clients, as Opal mentioned, do either upgrade their system or add on a laser within that first year of business because um, we're very passionate about setting you up from success from the beginning. And so if we work really well together and you're doing, you're running your business well, you're gonna be more than ready um, to not be worried about that. But if you are specific, if we didn't quite answer that enough for you, you have specific devices you're curious about, please reach out to us if you're not already working with somebody on our team, because we absolutely can run numbers for you on the device that you're interested in and take your location into consideration and all of those things. Alrighty, someone's asking about if we distribute to Canada as well as the US. Opal, can you answer that one for us?
sorry, no. But if you're already talking with somebody at Astanza, um, ask them, they can say, hey, like, can you get with Opal and send you in the right direction to where you can get, if not the exact same, very, very similar equipment in Canada. I'm happy to make that connection for you.
Yes, absolutely. Alrighty, we answered the medical director question. There's a question here about what is, regulations regarding non-healthcare professionals, specific to hair removal in Florida. So I don't have my double screen on here for me to check our regulations rules right now document.
No, for sure.
I don't know if you know off the top of your head, Opal, on
Yeah.
Florida hair removal.
Yeah, there is a specific training requirement for hair removal in Florida to be done in Florida. Ask your rep. Assuming you've already been approached by or are talking to someone at Astanza, they'll be able to walk you through that exactly. There is again a little bit more of a training requirement, but you mentioned hair removal in Florida, and you might as well just like put an ATM in your business because you'll just be printing money.
Literally.
So yeah, it's a great idea. And even though there is a time and money investment into that training, it's not terrible. And it'll be the ROI of that is massive.
Yep. Especially if you choose the Medio Star, which is our hair removal device. It's safe on all skin types, even newly tanned skin. You're in a place like Florida, they're probably outside a lot more than maybe somewhere up in Seattle. So it's a very easy way to you'll be booked. You'll be booked. You don't even have to worry. So the training investment and the time investment of that front is absolutely worth it. Alrighty, I think that was our last live question in the Q&A that I see right now. So if any of you guys who are still tuning in live right now, if you have any kind of wrap up questions, feel free to pop them in there. I'll give us maybe just one more minute, but we are here at about 1:06. So trying to be mindful of probably a lot of people's lunch hours taking into account. While we wait just 1 or 2 more minutes to see if there's any other questions, Opal, do you have any just kind of closing remarks or things you'd like to add for those who are still watching with us right now? We covered a
Honestly,
lot.
yeah, we did cover a lot, and we covered a lot. You can watch it again, right? They're going to get a recording. Great. This is a good webinar, or this will be. I'm not saying for any particular reason. I'm not biased, but the amount of resources that Hannah and our marketing team have put out there are incredibly helpful. Use those as your guides as you're going through this process. And inevitably, because you are accessing those resources, someone from Astanza's team will be reaching out to you to help supplement, to ask more specifics. Don't hesitate to talk to them. we'll often get on the phone with people and they're like, oh, well, I don't want to buy a laser yet. I just want information. That's great. That's what we're here for. Like we almost, our sales team, we talk about like, oh, what do we want to call ourselves? And really like, we're kind of consultants in this way. Like we guide people, we will talk to people for a year. We don't like shun you because you told us you're not going to buy anything. We want to guide you through the process because by the end of it, you'll have no doubt, one, that you're going to have a successful business. And by the end of it, frankly, how can you not work with us, Donza? After we've one guided you through all of this, but you've also been able to see and be exposed just how much we want to like get our tentacles in to everything that you're doing to make sure that we're boosting you up and you're making the right money, spending those marketing dollars in the right place, that kind of thing. So just let us help, even if you're not trying to buy a laser on May 10th. If you're looking at early 2025, awesome. That's
Yep.
tons of ramp up. We can tell you how to set yourself up for a full patient book by the time you open if you're looking for 2025. So just don't
Yep.
hesitate to use us. You're not wasting our time if you genuinely want to get into the business.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that because I meant to mention this earlier. Today's webinar is the 60-day countdown to starting a business. I know we mentioned a few tips at the 90 days, but that was to show you that it is absolutely doable in that timeline. It can be a little bit shorter, it can be longer. We have lots of folks that take 6+ months from when they first inquire about technology to when they're ready to actually purchase that device and sign a business space lease and all of those steps. So we have, people that have been around for a while, or who just came in and all their ducks were ready and they signed super duper quick in less than a month. So we cater to you. We're here to answer the questions. We're really passionate about the education piece. We like to teach to fish along the way. We're not just fishing for you. And so we want you to be successful throughout the entirety of your business. Alrighty, I think that's about time. I don't see any more questions here, and we are just a few minutes over, but I'm glad we had a great Q&A. Thank you very much. If you, again, aren't in contact with us yet, this is your first entry, please reach out to us. We would absolutely love to learn more about your interests and help you set up your laser business for success. We have a phone number here, our email address. Again, if you're already working with somebody, obviously stay connected with them. Check out our website. As Opal mentioned, we do have a resources tab on the main menu. We have dozens of other webinars like today's. Some are more clinical, technical, science-based. Some are some other business tips, anything specific down to Instagram for your business. I mean, lots of really great resources for you to kind of peruse through as you're researching. And shameless plug, I'd love for you to connect with us on social media at Astanza Laser on all major platforms. We've got a podcast out there as well on Spotify, Apple, all of that. So we're passionate about the resources. You've been fed all the awesome info. We would love to hear from you. So on that note, I would love to say thank you very much for listening. I really appreciated everyone's questions and tuning in live. And if you're watching the recorded version, thanks for finding us. And we hope you call us for some questions so you can have your own version of a live Q&A as well after you watch. But on that note, thank you again, Opal, so much for joining us and sharing your knowledge with the attendees today.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can always call the 800 number and ask for either of us too. I don't know. I don't think Ken already said that, but like, we'll wrap with you.
Yep. Would love to answer your call. So yeah, you can ask for one of us on that number. And on that, I will say have a fabulous afternoon. Again, if it's May 8th, thanks for tuning in live. If not, send us an email, give us a phone call, and we would love to answer your questions and help you get started with success.